At a very young age, we learn to make a distinction between you and me. Simple, right? But what if somehow? What if somehow? I could see the world from your perspective. And you could see it from mine. Think for a second. I know all your hopes and dreams. E tudo que te incomoda. और आपको भी वो पता चले मेरे बारे में.
You know what it's like to have a daughter who struggles with, is she black enough? Is she white enough? You would know what it's like to not have enough confidence to express your ideas.
You'd know what it would be like for people to take your culture and turn it into a theme party.
You would know that every time that you say you have a husband, people pause.
To be gender non-conforming.
To be comfortable being uncomfortable a lot of times.
You know what it's like to lose your little brother to HIV.
You'd know that there is struggle and pain, but also a lot of hope.
And suddenly
we would see
that although our lives are very different,
they are also very much the same. And that bigger than you and me
is us. Novel.
And as us, we know this.
You don't have to look like us. Worship like us. Live like us.
Or love like us.
To stand with us. Of course, you'll always be you.
And I'll always be me.
But there's nothing stopping us.
There's nothing stopping us.
There's nothing stopping us.
There's nothing stopping us from becoming us. Ngote.
Dice to be. Kami. Nosotros.
Woman.
Nos.
We're stronger as us.
We're stronger as allies.
Alrighty, with that, welcome to this V5 Africa webinar with Patrick Munkana on the topic of advanced social media targeting. Glad that you're all here. So if you're joining us from somewhere east, for instance, Brazil or USA, then a very good morning to you. But for the rest of us on this time zone, it should be good afternoon. So again, good afternoon from my side. My name is Armin Wieland. I'm the founder here at V5 Digital, and I'm thrilled to have you all on board today. With me today is Patrick Munkana, joining us from Cape Town today. Patrick is actually originally from the DRC, so we're very happy to have someone with a very African flavor on board this time around. Patrick, please do unmute and just say maybe one or two words. That'll be amazing, and then I'll continue with the introductions.
Yeah, cool. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patrick Munkana, as Emin has introduced me. I'm a media consultant based in Cape Town, originally from DRC. I've been in Cape Town for more than 15 years. I'm married with 2 boys now. And yeah, very excited to be here and share whatever knowledge that I have, and hopefully we'll all be able to reach our goals. That's the main point of digital marketers. So yeah, it will be fun.
Fantastic. All right. So just a bit of the agenda. So we should be done after about 55 minutes. So just before 1 p.m. local time, we should be wrapping up. And we are busy with the welcome. Then we're going to hand over to Patrick for the topic of advanced social media targeting. Then there's definitely enough time for the Q&A. And Jürgen Teichert, my co-host, he will be chatting to you on the chat and in terms of house rules and what to do and where to pose your questions. And then we would also like to introduce our next webinar topic towards the end of the session. Just very quickly, who is V5 Digital? We are digital innovators, and we solve business challenges by providing digital marketing strategy and tech solutions to help our customers and clients reach and excite their customers and consumers. We are passionate about a lot of things, and I'm not going to go through them in detail, but you see them here on the screen. So if you ever in need of a top-notch digital marketing agency, do not hesitate to reach out to us here at V5 Digital. I would quickly like to introduce our technology partners with whom this webinar wouldn't be possible. We are a proud partner to Rocket Seed, Salesforce, and SharpSpring. But before we start, please make sure to use the Q&A to ask any questions you might have during the webinar. And we would also like to point out to you that you can win quite an amazing V5 Digital Moleskine Diary, and that you can do by tweeting with the hashtag V5Africa. So get cracking on Twitter. You're more than welcome to tweet about the webinar, but if you're just in for the win, that's also fine. Just make sure that you do tag us and also use the hashtag V5Africa. With that, I would like to hand over to Patrick. We have introduced the topic already, and I'm going to keep quiet for the time being. But by the way, there is, I think, a question or two that Jürgen has asked. So if you haven't told us yet where are you from joining us today, that would be great. So just let us know where you're from in the chat, and that you can do while you're listening to Patrick. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Patrick, please take it away. Thank you in advance.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope you guys were not expecting to see a guy in a bow tie. I thought I would just come without one. So without further ado, let's jump in. So we'll be speaking on advanced social media targeting. And as we know, the advanced media targeting is mostly on paid advertising, because we can only target people with paid advertising. And on our agenda, we're going to look on audience insights, and we're going to look on how to build audiences, your Facebook platforms and the ad placement where you want your ad to appear and how to reach your customers. And then also we're going to look at the way we form our creatives, and of course the message that we're using that goes out with those ad creatives. And then there'll be a bonus that I'll give at the end of the presentation, and then we'll also have time for our Q&A. So just to understand on how the paid media is sit together in digital marketing. So we've got your earned media, owned media, and paid media. And if I had to give a definition to paid media, I would simply say it is an art of persuasions, using the right message to the right audience, and by being agile, meaning that we need to keep an eye on the campaign performances while it's monitoring and analyzing conversions. So this gives us a chance of tracking every cent that we spend, and also try to see if we are achieving our goals from the beginning of the campaign, and easy to change if something is not working, because at the end of the day, we can run a campaign and not get any results. So it's always this paid media give us a way of changing strategies even before we get to the middle of the campaign or time period that we have. Moving forward, which platforms are or includes like the paid social? So we've got TikTok, which predominantly now running ads on the UK, Europe, America, and Australian. We're hoping that they will introduce that platform to us very soon here in Africa. We've got Pinterest, Snapchat, got LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. And I'd like to really focus more on Facebook, because we know Facebook is the main platform where we all run our campaigns, and that's where we get most of our audiences. Going into audience insights. With audience insight, we give Facebook a lot of data without knowing, and when we start targeting, building audiences, we kind of rely on what people have already given to Facebook, and then Facebook has mined that data, put it together, and then starts creating persona that we want to target. So without knowing, people sometimes give their phone numbers, where they shop, where they go eat, their browser history, because we always connect our phone to third parties, apps or website whenever we need to sign in, and then we just sign in quickly with using Facebook. So that's sharing data with Facebook, and Facebook is collecting has been collecting those data and creating audiences that we're going to look in. And then if we want to, before we build an audience, you need to first understand the audience that's following you, the audience that you already have. If let's say you have a Facebook page, so you need to go into your business manager account, you look under audience insight, and then once you open it, it gives you a broad idea of who your audiences are. So they will give you now they've incorporated Instagram, so they give you both Instagram and Facebook audience insights. So you look at the number of people that are following you, the age group, the locations, what they do, their interests, everything that you need to know about your user. And this also helps us to show which pages your users have liked. And that's where when you start building your audiences, which I'll get on later on, you can target people that have liked, let's say, one of your main competitors is CNN, just for argument's sake. So you can include people that have liked CNN for them to start seeing your ad. And that way you just speaking to people, even if you're targeting CNN, but you're speaking to people that have interest in your business. This is just a typical example. Let's say you set up a business shop, it's a luxury fashion brand for women. You want traffic in your store. So what you need to do is go into on Facebook, try and see people that are near your stores. So what you'll find from there is what are their interests, what are the demographic, gender, relationship status, which page they like, especially the page that have a lot of followers that you can start looking at and see what the audiences really prefer. And then you look at the location and language, because language is also very important when you're building your audience or once you start targeting your audience. And you also look at what kind of devices people use to log in Facebook. That's where you'll know when you're creating creatives, you know how better to optimize for either desktop or mobile. And then once you get an idea of who your general audience is, it's always good to have one persona before you move on to everything else. So you refine your audience, you make it smaller, and that way you'll have a more specific audience that you know that you will be speaking to, or yes, your audience that you'll be speaking to, you'll know what kind of message they'd want to hear and what kind of creatives will entice the interest even more to your brand. And then your ad spends will lower, but you'll still be speaking to your right target, and hopefully your return on ad spends will be much higher. And then once you have one persona, you can try and have multiple personas if you have different services or different products that you are selling or providing. So in this, you just create fictional characters that represent the key traits of your large segments of your business, audiences. And then this gives you an insight of what the perceptive is and what they're thinking, what they're doing. That way, you know exactly if your product is going to resonate more with your audience or not. And then with this, you also develop an understanding of your customers' needs and how to solve them. Before we continue into building the audiences, we first need to understand the marketing funnels. Because at the end of the day, before you start speaking to people, you need to know, first of all, what kind of message and what kind of funnel, because we always have three funnels in marketing: the top funnel, middle funnel, and bottom funnel. So you always have to know who am I speaking to, what kind of message am I putting out there. So the first one will be the awareness. That's the top of funnel. You need to know, how do you generate interest from those audiences into your product or services that you are providing. So wherever they're searching for information about something, you are there providing for it. So that could be either with your social post, videos on both Facebook or YouTube, or wherever that you advertising, or whichever platform that you have. You're just putting out those information about your service or product. And then once you get people coming to your site, reading about what you're providing, they move into the middle funnel. So we consider that as warm audience. So the top one would be your cold audience. The second one would be warm audience or middle of the funnel. So there is a consideration. They are considering doing business with you. That way, in this position now, you need to start sending out different messages. Remember, you have to have your brand awareness message. And then when they get to the middle of the funnel, you need to have also another type of message where you kind of talk to them. Because let's say, just a typical example, you are in a, let's say, you go into a bar, you meet a person, either female or male, they ask you for your number, you give them your number. And then after 4 days, you go there again, you see the same person, they ask you for your number. You actually get to a point saying, dude, I gave you my number the first time that we met. Why are you asking the number again? Are you actually serious about considering this interaction? So you always need to know what the first step and then second step after you've received the details or the interest. And then moving to the bottom of the funnel or hot audience. So this is where we know that they know about the business, they know about our whatever that we're providing, they are now ready to do business with us. So here again, you need to have different kind of message that you're sending out to them to have a clear call to action if you want more of the details or you want them to purchase something. So this is understanding the marketing funnel. As you can see, I've given 2 examples of BC and B2B. So BC, it's business to consumer, and then business to business. So here you can just read through and see the steps and what kind of message that you need to put out there. And then moving on to building audiences, it's very, very simple. You just need to go onto your business ad account and you go audience, and you once you get onto audience, you click on create audience. The first thing that I always want to start with is building audience, custom audience. These are the people that already know about our business. They've been to our either website or they've been onto our social media. And Facebook gives us a broader basket for us to get audiences from. We can get audiences from websites. To get audience from your website, you need to make sure that your Facebook pixel is installed on your website. You can upload your customer list. Let's say you've been doing business already, then you've captured people information. What you need to do is either adding the name and surname, phone number, and email address. And from there, Facebook will populate the rest. App activities, if you have an app and you know people have downloaded it, they've logged in and share with you their details, you can do that. Offline activities, when people are coming to your store, it's similar to your customer list. And then you move on to the Facebook and Instagram pages. If someone has watched your videos or interact with your any of your posts, you are able to retarget them or to include them in an audience that you know that you will retarget them with a different kind of message. Just like I was saying, starting with the website traffic, you first need to make sure that your website has a Facebook pixel and it is active, and you are tracking every traffic that comes to your website. In here, the segmentation of the audience you can create depends partly on the amount of traffic that you get to your website. And also you just need to have a very detailed events, like let's say page view, downloads, or like, you know, when you create your events on Facebook manager. So you just need to make sure that you are tracking all the events, especially now that we have this iOS 14.5. A lot of people have opted out from tracking. So if you can have a very detailed event set up in your business accounts, then you will be able to still target some of them. And moving on, just to show you how to create your website traffic audience, what you need to do, you can either select people that have come to your website, or you can select specific pages that you, let's say you're selling shoes, you've got formal shoes, you've got sneakers and sandals. So you can create cast audiences based on pages that they viewed and they shown interest in. And that way, once you create those kind of audiences, you know that if I'm got a promotion on sneakers, I'm only going to target people that have shown interest in sneakers. And with that, there's higher potential of them converting because they've shown interest to your brand already. Yeah, this is what I was saying. You can either create those specific web page audiences, either by adding keywords or the URL, the complete URL, and then Facebook will know exactly who has been there. And the good thing about it is you can track people up to 365 days. So your audience should be substantial for you to run campaign with. And then you can also target people by the amount of time that they spend on your website. If someone has spent, let's say, 2, 3 minutes or 5 minutes over, then you know that there's higher potential of them being interested in something, especially if they've gone from one page to another and not just being on one page and then bounce. So with that, you know that there's also a potential of you getting more audience in your basket. But here, the trick part is that you need to have at least a website that generates a lot of users monthly for you to be able to segment up to the time spent. Because if, let's say, you get 10,000 users a month, once you create this audience using this method, you will probably get 10 or 15% of that 10,000 people that have gone or have spent more time on your website. And then we move on to the engagement custom audience. So this is more of people that have been on your social platforms. They've interacted with one of your posts. They've downloaded or watched videos from your social media. They've been onto your page and so any engagement that you can think of. They've liked one of your posts, they've commented, or they even saved, especially from Instagram, they've saved one of your posts without following you or without commenting or liking. You're still going to be able to retarget those audiences. You still going to be able to build those audiences and put them in one basket. One thing that Facebook has been really pushing this year since the introduction of iOS 14.5 is the video campaigns. So if you run video campaigns or if you have a lot of videos on your platforms, what you do is that you can go and retarget those people from either they view a video as true play or 25% of the video, 50%, 75 or 95 or even 100% of the video. You can still retarget those people or build the audience according to the amount of time they spend consuming your content. That's where you will know if someone has only viewed the video for 15 seconds, you know they might not be a hot audience compared to someone that's a view half or 75% of your video. That way, once you segment that, you know, okay, if someone have only watched 10% of the video, I can still retarget them with brand awareness campaigns, or rather consideration campaign instead of conversion campaign. So always good to segment those audiences so that you know which one will be converting better or which one will still need to go through the funnel before they get to the last stage. Just like I was saying, when it comes to engagement on Facebook and Instagram, for Instagram, you need to have a business profile for you to be able to retarget people or to retarget people that have saved your post or have clicked on a post, and if they've seen an ad where you run a brand awareness ad and you send them to a learn page or whichever page that you're sending them. So every call to action that you have on your campaign from brand awareness or even from conversion, but they didn't convert, you can still retarget them. One thing that I didn't include here is when it comes to e-coms websites, where you have that checkout process that you need to have for and also track. So here again, you need to set up those events properly. You can set your event from initiating checkout, add to cart, and then checkout process for purchasing. So from there, what you can do is keep tracking people that have started the checkout up to people that have finished the whole sale process. So from there, what you can also do is if someone has started the checkout but didn't get to the payments page, you can create those audiences and then start retargeting them with either catalog sales or any promotion that you might have. Those are very hot audience that will be converting that hot cake. And then once you create all these audiences, you are able to create what we call lookalike audiences. So with lookalike audiences, Facebook allows you to target people that have similar behavior, interests, or share the same geographic location with your custom audience. That's where you go behind people that have engaged with you. And once Facebook match people that have similar behavior or similar interests, you are still able to either run campaigns, conversion campaigns, and you have a higher probability of them purchasing or converting rather. And then when it comes to ad placement, as we know, Facebook owns Instagram, Messenger, then they're also able to place your ads on some apps and even websites. That's where you can even reach more people. But here I always encourage people, or rather advise people, when you run your first campaign where you know that you haven't put all your budget into the campaign, look at where your traffic is coming from all these placements. Always check under your reports where are your traffic coming from, so that when you start running the conversion campaign, you can exclude some of the placements, or you can include them all, but have a higher bidding from different placements. And that's where your return on ad spend is still going to be good. This is just one quick example of when you select your placement. Facebook always give you an option of either going with automatic placements, where they select all the placements and they optimize for whichever that will be good, or you can go and select your placements manually. If you know already that my audience are spending time on Facebook and Instagram, then you can just target Facebook and Instagram and excludes everything else. That will be the apps and other websites that your ads might appear. But one thing that I always want to, when setting up a campaign, is keeping an eye on the right side of my screen. So that it tells me how the audience size is, daily estimate of my reach, and also the number of conversions that I will be getting. Once I see this, I can already calculate what my potential ROI would be. potential CPA, the cost per acquisition, and if that cost per acquisition is in line with our business objectives, if we're going to reach those ROI at the end of the month or at the end of the period. Because every time that we run campaigns, we always have to keep in mind what's my ROI will be, what profit will the business be getting from the campaigns that we're running. So once you have that, you can see if you can either increase the size of your audience so that you can have more conversion and bring the CPA down, or if you feel like it's too much, you can either go and exclude some of the audiences, reduce your audience, and you know that you're within your budget. We've spoken enough on audience and placement. And now let's go look at creatives. Facebook released a report recently to show that creatives, like your ads that you create, either static image or videos, they bring 55% of the action from Facebook ads. So once you have a proper creative that's clear, that is speaking to audience that's and entice them to take an action, you need to remember that your creatives are your door from your business, from the customer to your business. And if they have to go take an action on your website, you need to make sure that your creatives really are on top of your game. And looking at ways of creating Facebook, Facebook has given us only 3 type of creative that we need to have that will go on your feeds, stories, and on the right end of your Facebook or on website. And once you have these, when you're creating an ad, always make sure that you always have these 3 sizes of your creatives so that the Facebook can optimize them properly, share them to people that are relevant to your campaign, and they know that they have high probability of converting. And here I'm just going to spend a little bit of time just to explain how the creatives and ad copies work best. So as some of you might know, we have what we call the dynamic dynamic ads, where you load 10 creatives, which includes videos. You have an option of having variant headlines. You can have up to 5 different ad copies. You can also have 5 different headlines. So how it works, I'm not sure if you are familiar with Google responsive ads, where you also put 15 creatives and then different headlines and ad copies. So Facebook has also introduced this system on the platforms where they try and match the best creatives and best ad copies and serve them to the audience that have higher probability of converting. They've been able to do this by learning machine, where they try and match the probability of conversions. So it's always good to have your creatives, have different type of creatives for your campaigns. When you're writing your ad copies, have something different with different call to action that you know that it will entice your audience. And then your headline as well, make it short and sweet, just to drive people to take the action that you want them. And once you have this combination and you give them to Facebook, now Facebook, what will do, it's just going to optimize them based on high probability of conversions. We've got tons of people that are running ads. So they've taken all that data, analyzed it, and they came up with probabilities. So it's always good to give a lot of data to Facebook so that Facebook can use the data that they've collected to try and optimize for your campaign. Because if you have to do it manually, we will never be able to reach or serve the right audience with the right ad copies or the right creatives. So rather give them a bunch of creatives bunch of ad copies, bunch of headlines, and let them do it for you. And that way, they're in business of making money. They want you to come back, spend more money. So they will always optimize your campaigns for higher conversion rates. And just to give the ABCDEF of paid media, it's always about audience. Know your audience. Build your own audience. Even if it's smaller, just know that your ROI will come from those audiences. And you need to look at your brands. When creating creatives, try to stick to the same brand colors, to the same brand identity. It's very important. It's easy for someone to mistake you from your brand with another brand. But if they know your brand, they will always be loyal to you. They will always come to you. If you look, for instance, KFC, though they're global, or even Coca-Cola, they're global. They've been using the same brand throughout the whole world. And we all know, wherever I find myself, I'll identify KFC or Coca-Cola easily. Creativity, try different type of creatives. Boring, exciting, or emotional. Just try and do something that is exciting, that will capture their attention. And when it comes to creativity, don't use the same creatives from brand awareness to your conversion campaign, because what will happen, people will, our brains works in a way that if you've seen something and you see it already, you tend to ignore it, because in the first time that you saw it, it didn't really trigger your attention. So the second time, it's just going to disappear. But when there's something new every time, it's always capture attention, always capture the audience attention for them to come to your audience and see what you're doing. Demonstrate. This is where you need to really demonstrate how and why people should come to you, do business with you. Let's look, for instance, Apple. When Apple release phones every time, we know, I'm a fan of Apple's, don't take me wrong. They don't really do much, but what they always come and say is, we've built a perfect phone, we've built a very powerful phone. And the first thing that they always start with, they go to the cameras. They tell you how the cameras is powerful. They show you what that camera can do, either taking pictures or videos or whatever that they're showing. And that demonstrates that they know what they're talking about. They know what they're providing, and that triggers our emotion. So you always need to know how to trigger someone's emotion. That emotion will lead them into becoming your customer. At the end of the day, whenever we're running ads, we want customers, either lead generation or e-commerce. And then one thing to need to avoid is ad fatigue. Please try and look after your accounts. Don't let any ads to run forever. Even if it's converting, always good to change, because at the end of the day, especially if you're targeting a very smaller audience size, people will see that ads over and over, and what they'll do is start ignoring it. And then once the ad is being ignored or not even taking action on it, Facebook will see that that ad is no longer engaging, and they start pushing it at the bottom of the feeds or wherever that you put it. And that's where you get your ad fatigue, and it won't be serving, you won't be getting what you intend to get. And yeah, that would be a waste of effort and waste of time. So to end, this is the bonus that I wanted to share with you. So this is the strategies that I've always used. Got it from one of the agencies that I worked for, and it's always worked for me very well. Or whoever that as I work on, whichever company that I work on, and I use these strategies. So this is just the funnel on how to create your campaigns. So we always know we start with cold audience or your brand awareness campaign. So we look at your key goal, You look at the campaign objectives, the audience that you're going to speak to, and also which audience are you excluding. You can't go with brand awareness campaign to existing audience already, unless if you're bringing a new product or a new platform, then yes, you can go with the brand awareness campaign. But if it's a same product, same service, you need to exclude those audiences that's already in your funnel. And then always look at type of angle, type of message that you want to bring out, what will catch people's attention. You either highlight an opportunity or what problem you're solving, the excitement, the emotional hooks, or benefits. Like I mentioned for Apple, they come up with a phone. What they always try to focus on is the benefit of features that they bring into that phone. Even if the camera is the same 12 megapixel, but they're just going to say we've added A, B, C better than the previous phone. So always emphasize on those hooks in your messages. Again, when you go to your warm audience, you just follow the same thing. What's your key goal? What's your campaign objectives? The audience that you're speaking to, and who are you excluding? The benefit also, because one product can have different benefits, but for brand awareness, you can just give top level information. But when it comes to warm audience or consideration audience, then you can go even deeper into the benefits of the product or service that you're offering. That's where people even give more consideration to your product, and they move into bottom of the funnel or hot audience. And budget, that's an estimate. You can or cannot use that estimate. It's all up to you. And then one thing that I need to emphasize is that there are certain campaigns, service, or products that you don't need to follow the 3 type of funnel. You can go from top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel directly and just skip the warm or middle of the funnel audience. But there are some services or products where you need to take people throughout the whole funnel. Those are high-end products or high-end service where you know that it's going to cost the customer a lot of money before they can convert. So you follow that funnel strategy. And with that, I really like to thank you, V5, for the opportunity to be here to share the little knowledge that I have. And now the floor is open for any questions. Hopefully there'll be some questions. Thank you.
Fantastic. Patrick, thank you so much for this amazing presentation. I definitely learned quite a bit today, although I know 1 or 2 things about digital marketing and about advanced social media targeting. But even for me, it was very, very interesting and insightful. So just wanted to thank you for your initial presentation. Really loved it. I see not any questions coming through as yet. I think there was 1 or 2 comments that came through. So, but if you could just prepare your questions, put them on the Q&A. We've got about 10 or so minutes left. Then Patrick or myself can answer them. In the absence of any questions, well, there is actually 1 or 2 I see here from Romanos Casino, not on the Q&A, but rather on the chat. He said there he missed the A, B, C, D, E, Fs. And if you could just maybe quickly touch on the E and F of paid media again. I know the one was the fatigue. And if you can just maybe very briefly touch on those 2 again. And then there was one from Jean Kalala, where I believe it's a she, asked, are there any free tools to measure success? So these are the 2 questions for Patrick for the time being. Patrick, take it away. And then I know I definitely have one as well, in case we're running out of questions. And I believe Jürgen, our co-host, also had at least 1 question for you. But over to you again, Patrick.
Okay, so on the E, that's emotion. When it comes to creating your creativity or writing your ad copy, you need to know how to bring the emotion out of the audience. So write something that will entice. When I speak about emotion, it's not just emotional bad stuff, but it has to be an excitement, love, or make that impulse decision saying that I'm going to purchase. Because remember, with paid social, we are interrupting people activities on the feed. We just put our ads there, and they will be probably going through some funny videos, and then our ads pops up. So you need to create, try and change that emotion that they will be going through for them to pause whatever that they're watching and come to your website. So those are kind of emotions that you need to look out. And F, that's the ad fatigue. So if ad fatigue, you don't want to let your ads run for a long period of time, especially when you're targeting a very smaller amount of audience. Once it reaches a certain time or a certain age, people will start ignoring it. And when they start ignoring it, you're not getting any impression. Once an ad doesn't get an impression, Facebook or any other platforms will push that ads at the bottom of the feed, and it won't be served, and you start losing on key metrics that you're tracking. In terms of taking on the second question, in terms of free tools to measure success, there are tons. There are tons of tools out there, but you need to remember what are your KPIs that you're tracking. Facebook platforms or any other social media platform comes up with their own analytics where you can go and measure whatever KPIs that you want to track. But if you see that you're not getting any of those, the best that I always recommend is to use Google Analytics. Once it's set up properly and you're tracking everything properly, you can track all your success and see where how you're spending your money, what's your benefits that you're getting, and etc.
All righty, thank you for that. There is another question from Marlies Marais. Marlies, welcome first of all, everybody, you and your team at Tonality Solutions. We just saw on Instagram, they've got quite a big team together there. So Marlies' question was, if you had to balance earned, owned, and paid media, respectively, out of 100%, how would you distribute amongst the three?
Okay, so here, depend first of all with the company or a business when it comes to business size, the budget and everything. So with earned, that we know that comes from your PR or whatever product that you've put out there, and then people are commenting on your stuff, and also looking at the size of audience that you've already built. So there you just know what kind of feedback you're getting from people, or how much you're spending on your PR, so that people can continue writing on your stuff. And then when it comes to on media, do you have a social media manager and community manager who's managing everything that's pure organic, whether on Facebook, Twitter, whichever platforms that you own. That's we know it doesn't cost much as when it comes to paid media, but those two part of media. So we have owned, earned, and paid medias. So those two parts, they also very key components to paid media, because remember, when you're creating audience, you are going to target people that have come maybe from organic or from PR source, and they've landed on your website, and you need to go speak to those people with targeted ads. So they are very all important. And for me, if I have to say the effort or how much we're spending, or either in money or time, how much we're spending, they should be taken equivalently. But again, with paid media, that's where you're spending a lot of money. You want to have more control of that. So that can have a slightly a higher percentage, but they should all be taken equally.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Patrick and Marlies. We hope you answered your question. There's one question from our own, very own Jürgen Teichert. So Jürgen asks, whenever I use automatic placements, the creative is distorted as every placement has different creative dimensions. Is it not better to always choose manual placements, or is there a way around the creative being distorted?
No, so here's the thing. If you have those three sizes of creative that I showed you, that goes onto your feeds, on the stories, and then on the right column, once you select automatic placement, Facebook will try and optimize those images accordingly. And what you can also do is, if you don't trust Facebook like 100%, what you can also do is, when you're creating your ad, you just go and check on your preview and see how they're coming. If you click on advanced preview, they'll give you the whole placement, and you can see how they will look like. And if you see that they're bit pixelated, or they come in a funny way, you are able to go and edit. You are able to go and crop or fix whichever way you want to fix it, so that when it's being served, it's going to be served as you've selected them, or as you've set them up. So it's always good with brand awareness campaign, run with automatic placement. And from there, you look on your reports where all the traffic are coming from. And if you want to run the conversion campaign, where you know that's where you're spending a lot of money and you're trying to get money back from there, you look, did I get any good traffic from, let's say, apps and other websites? If you don't see much web traffic coming from there, and the bounce rate is quite high from there, then you know that you have to go manually select whichever placement that have brought you the hot traffic, so that you can retarget them with conversion campaign.
Super. Thanks, Patrick. Jürgen, I hope it answered your question. If not, then we can, I guess, ask him again, or ask him again later on. So I don't see any more questions coming through. Maybe just one quick question from my side, Patrick, was you mentioned in the beginning the website visitors, and you need quite a bit of website visitors to make that work. Do you know what that threshold is in terms of, you know, what's the website monthly website threshold in terms of visitors for Facebook to help you there?
Yeah, so the threshold, I would say 10,000 to 20,000 monthly visitors. And remember, this is about the kind of audience that you want to reach. As I said, that was more for specific web pages where people have spent time of the amount of time that they spent on the website. So you need to know that if someone has spent, we will have 10,000. Yeah, let me just start. You'll have 10,000 visitors on your website, and out of those 10,000 visitors, the bounce rate is always higher from 50%. So that's 5,000 already that will bounce, and you left with 5,000 visitors. So that's using that 10,000 monthly visitor per month. And then from those 10,000 visitors, they might just go onto one page and then go to your contact page or whichever other page and then leave the site. And that leaves you also with a very less amount of people that will go to specific pages that you want to retarget. Let's say the example that I gave was you're selling shoes and you have techies, smart shoes, and slippers. You want to target people that have been onto your slippers webpage. So from 10,000 to people that will get to your slipper page will probably be very less than 1,000. And you can't run a campaign with only, let's say, 1,000 audience in there. You need to have a substantial amount of people. That's why we always say if you have 10 to 20,000 people coming through your websites monthly, you are able to go and segment that audience up to that point.
Fantastic. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that, Patrick. I don't see any further questions coming through. So with this, I would like to kind of wrap up Patrick's session. Again, Patrick, thank you so much. And I would also like to quickly introduce our audience to the next topic. So we plan to have one in psychology and marketing. Marketing is communication made by people for people. And I'm not going to read all the detail there, but essentially it's going to be a very exciting webinar on the topic of psychology and marketing. We plan to have that on the 15th of June at 12 noon. Those of you that are new to V5 Africa, we do run this every month, middle of the month, middle of the week, middle of the day, so it's easy to remember. And the next one is on the 15th of June. We will send you the recording by Friday at about lunchtime. And with that, you also have the opportunity to register then for our next webinar. With that, I would just like to thank you on behalf of our core team, myself and Jonathan and Jürgen, for also helping out and making this webinar a reality. And once again, a big round of applause and thank you to Patrick, who's been amazing on really telling us more about the advanced social media marketing and targeting rather. So with that, we'd like to end this webinar. We are just before 1 p.m. and just ending in time. And again, thanks to Patrick and thanks to our great audience, and really appreciate you and your comments and your questions. And please do spread the word amongst your family and friends and colleagues. And then we will hopefully see you then on the 15th of June for our next V5 Africa webinar. Thank you. And Patrick, maybe you can have one or two departing words, and then we should be closing the webinar.
Yeah, so my departing word would be in line with everything that is currently happening, the iOS 14.5 that came out last year, and Google is also going through that route of trying to enable people to opt out of being tracked. What I will definitely advise is always test. Test your creative, test your ad copy, test your audience. Before you scale up your budget, before you spend out all your budget, always have your testing audience, your testing creative, and your testing audience, so that when you're about to scale, you know that you are going to get the ROI at the end of the day. That's what we do. We need to bring money to the company, and now our profession is now being called performance. So we are in critical position in our company, especially during lockdown. We saw if a company didn't have any presence online, they closed down. But through us marketers, we managed to keep the business afloat. So always test, always try and learn what is out there, what is other people are doing out there. Spend time on YouTube, read on new blogs, and yeah, just educate yourself, because the world is just changing. The way we ran ads in 2020 and how we're running them now is totally different. Those are my departing words. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Thanks, everybody. Have a great Wednesday. Bye-bye.